And we're now joined by Natalia Bezrukova, who is here from Bucha.
Yes.
Arrived just a few weeks ago. And her
22nd of March.
22nd of March. We're so happy that you're here.
Toda.
And I want to hear your comments about the images that we're seeing. And you're here in studio with your daughter, Sophie Harif, who's a social worker, also originally from Ukraine, but in Israel for many years. And you've been in our studio already, Sophie, a few weeks back. And we said that we would bring you back in studio, hopefully, when your mother arrives in the country. And we're so happy that you're here. I do want to ask for your comments. We're seeing images from the streets of Bucha, your home.
Yes, I was born in Bucha in 1954.
What do you say about these images? Was this the reality on the streets when you left? When you left, this is what it looks like.
Sure. And many people were killed, innocent people. I have a classmate. He's 68 like me, and his brother is a few years older. And on the 27th of February, he was killed by Kadyrov soldiers. Why? He was working the whole night shift, and in the morning he came back home, and he was killed.
Wow.
For what? 73, 75 maybe.
The reports of the Russians claim that this is staged, that the Ukrainians put bodies on the streets of Bucha for propaganda reasons.
That's what drives me crazy, because lots of people are killed in Bucha near the shops, especially those who are on the bicycles, especially if a person goes and speaks on the phone. They consider him to be a person who is showing where to shoot, to disclose their positions. And in my streets, the tanks were riding under my window. It was about 3 or 5 meters, no more. And I saw a soldier under my window. It's 1.5 meters maybe. It was terrible, you know, because he was with a gun and he was in ammunition. And it's really unpleasant. And Ukraine is an independent state. And we were born here. Ukraine is a very old, ancient state. And Russia is much more younger. And she wants to dictate us what language we should speak. And they wanted us to make friends with people or with countries they want, not we want, and they are not democratic. We are democratic. We have friends among all over the democratic and progressive world.
We'll get to that in a bit.
Yes.
I first want to ask, how did you manage to keep safe?
I stayed under the blanket for 3 weeks. And I was in a fur coat, 3 sweaters, and high boots.
Why? Because there was no electricity, no
heating? No gas, no water, and no internet. Absolutely nothing. And it was very cold.
And we're talking about high winter.
It was cold, yes. And I didn't want to eat because I did not move. I practically did not eat for 3 weeks. I was not, let's say, hungry. And I didn't want to drink because the water was very cold. I was afraid to catch cold. So I stayed in bed. And when my neighbor said, we were beating the woods, cutting the woods in the yard, and made fire and heated water on the fire, like during the Second World War.
Like Holocaust.
Yes, like Holocaust. And this man, 42 years old, my neighbor next door, and when he said on the 13th of March that he is leaving, and I understood that only on the first floor there was an alcoholic, opposite my apartment was drug taker, and above me a lady pensioner, 75 years. So I was scared that I would die of hunger.
That's it. You were the only ones who stayed in the building. Everyone else had already fled, or?
Yes, we 3 stayed only. Not in our block of flats, because there were another 2 blocks. But most of the people left.
And then you decided
and
that
then
it's time
I
to
was
come?
Scared, and I took my bag with documents, and this one, it's embroidered T-shirt, and 2 some addresses. I was going to Israel, but I didn't know that my way to Israel will take 9 days. And what I would say that Russians got to Babi Yar, bombed the Babi Yar. And Borodai, it's a Rebbe of Russia in Moscow, he did not condemn it. He never said that Ukrainians are fighting for freedom and they are on their own land. I understand Archbishop Kirill from Russia, from Moscow, that he blesses the troops, he blesses the soldiers, but he is a close friend of Putin. And for Jewish rabbi...
For the rabbi not to condemn. I do want to ask Sophie for her response and her reply to the images that we're seeing from Bucha. Of course, it's great that your mother is here, and I'm sure it's a great relief for you and for your family. But still, the atrocities keep going on and keep occurring in Bucha. What do you see? What do you say when you see these images?
Well, I have... For your other question, I have no doubt that it is real. Okay, I have no doubt at all. And saying that this is Ukrainian propaganda, it's insane. It's insane. I'm inside all the Facebook groups in Bucha, Telegram groups. I see what real people are talking about. So it is all real, and it is all terrible. Sometimes it's easier for us to believe that maybe it's Photoshop or something not real, just to feel a little bit better. Feel that we live in a world where such things are not possible.
You're certain that there was a massacre?
1,000%. 1,000%.
Of course. How many people do you think died?
No one knows. Because when I was writing this, under my window went a truck full of black sacks. And I thought that it were Russians. But then it appeared that they were citizens of Bucha. Yeah. And people from my house asked when can we pick the bodies up, but as there was no electricity and in the morgue they could
I think the number is not yet known, because I think many people died in their
garage,
in the shelters, or in the in the places where they hid. Not everyone is already found, and on the streets, you have to.
I'm sure in the next few days we'll find out the scale of the atrocities even further. Sadly, because this has been such an interesting discussion, we only have a minute left.
Okay.
I do want to ask you how you're feeling now that you're here in Israel.
I'm happy
only
that
with
I met
T-shirt and some documents. I'm sure it's a very, very difficult situation.
Israel gave me a great help, and I want to say thank you to all the people who were on my way. It were Polish people, Ukrainians in Ukraine, and Israel, of course. I'm happy, I'm at home, and I must say thank you to Israel, thank you to everyone who understands the situation correctly.
Can you imagine going back to Bucha?
Of course I will one day, but I'm a citizen of Israel.
Let's hope that you can go and visit your home, and if you choose, also live there if you want, and that there will be peace and quiet.
Amen.
Once again.
Thank you very much
for inviting us.
Thank you very much.